Hello, MM. Hello, Susu. Hello, Quiet. So, good morning. It is 9:45 a.m. It's June 25th, 2026, and it is 9:45 a.m. Yeah, it's morning here. We're starting a little bit late today because there was a slight technical problem on Hello Talk, but I am here now. I'm a little tired today, but I'm here nonetheless. Okay, so guess what, everybody? We have some exciting things happening. There are exciting things happening. Do you want to know what the exciting things are? Hello, Carlos. So, Susu is my new moderator, and she's been joining me every chance she gets to help me with my streams, which is very, very helpful. So you can thank Susu. That's part of what's new. Susu's been very, very helpful to me. And Susu has helped me. She's introduced me to another one of my followers who has been helping me with a lot of other things too. So, for example, I have about 450 live streams on my YouTube channel. And each of these live streams are at least 1 hour long, and some of them are almost 4 hours long. And right now, all of that is on my YouTube, but it's really hard to watch because it's so long and there's no time code to tell you what I'm going to tell you or what I'm going to talk about or anything like that. But I'm working with my new friend Leo to create transcripts for all of my live streams with AI. And with AI, we're going to create a database of every answer that I've ever given. So all of these live streams that I've done where I answer all these questions, we're working on creating a database. Maybe. I hope that this will happen soon where you can ask this AI whatever answer I have given, it will know, and you can ask it. So basically, they're building an AI based on me. Kind of funny. So if you have questions about grammar, you can ask it and it will tell you every answer I have ever given about grammar. If you have questions about vocabulary, you can ask it, and it will tell you every answer I have ever given about vocabulary. So am I an AI now? No, I'm not. Right now, I'm a real live boy, but I will be an AI soon. I'm okay with that. I think it's going to be fun. Now I almost want to give more of myself away. And then maybe I'll be one of the first people to put themselves on the internet digitally. I will live forever as an AI. That's right. I'm a real live boy, Geppetto. That's what I was quoting. So, right. Yassine, that's what we're working on right now. Is he is working on creating a database of all of my answers, and from that we're going to make an LLM model. I think he called it an RAM, whatever that means, which is some sort of an AI model of a date, like with a database. So we're working on that. So, Teacher Mark 3000 coming soon. But will the AI give tips for new beginners to learn to play the drums like me? That's funny. Maybe. Maybe I'll do that too. Maybe I'll tell it to teach people drums as well. Well, as a matter of fact, Carlos, my method is based on music, so it definitely will give some answers that are musical. I'll be back. What would AI Mark say if it asked, is Mark a good person? Wow. Ah, that's the ultimate question, isn't it? Are you a good person or not? Everyone seems to think that they are. Humanity in general, it seems like a big part of humanity is a sense that you are not bad. Because if you wake up every day feeling like you are bad, well, if you think you are bad, then you will do bad things. That's no doubt about that, right? If you at least think you are good, there's a possibility you could be good, but not a guarantee. And intentions are not everything, right? We have a saying that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. So lots of people say, but I didn't mean for it to be like that. I didn't mean for that to happen. I didn't intend for this to happen badly. Sure, maybe you didn't intend to, but that doesn't always matter. So, am I a good person? It's not for me to say. Your morality cannot be judged or assessed by yourself. Your morality must be judged or assessed by those around you. So that's why this is important, because even a bad person can think they're a good person. So sometimes there are bad people who think they're good people. They believe they're a good person inside, even if they're not. That's why you have to look at the people around them and say, well, what do you think about this person? Do you think that they're a good person or a bad person in general? So, your own greatness or goodness or evilness or badness is not a self-determination. That's something that's determined by your community. So, I don't know. Am I a good person? You tell me. You tell me. That was a very AI answer. Retrieval augmented generation. Ah, that's what it was. Yeah, that's what I meant. RAM, RAG, something like that. There you go. Well, yes, and sounds like you know a lot about this too. Maybe you can help out. If you want to help, maybe you can help. You've been listening to 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover song. It's really good. It is, right? It's great. That's a song by Paul Simon. Paul Simon is a very famous American musician, folk artist, and he's written many, many famous songs that are part of American pop culture, and that's one of them. And it's one of my favorite songs because of the drum part on it. It's such a great drum part. It's probably the most unique drum part of all time. What's the difference between as a matter of fact and actually? Nothing. Nothing. They're pretty much the same. Jail and prison, what's the difference? Jail is usually for smaller crimes, and prison is for bigger crimes, right? So if you murder someone, you're going to prison. But if you, I don't know, if you stole something, you know, like, I don't know, you stole some money or something and it was like $1,000 or something, I don't know, $500, you'll probably go to jail, not prison, right? So jail is slightly different. And jail is also the place where they keep you temporarily, right? So a prison is a permanent thing. Like after you go to court, if they say you're guilty, then you go to prison. And that's a permanent thing. But when you're in court, during that time, that your court trial could be a few days, or it could be a few months, or even it could be a few years. During that time, they might be holding you in jail during your trial or while your trial is awaiting, while you're waiting for your trial. So jail is maybe a temporary place where you're held before your trial or during your trial. And then prison is where they send you. If you're guilty, then they send you to prison. Okay? I think even if we are considered good humans, we would probably please everyone. You know, but that's the thing. You can't please everyone. You can't. No matter how much you want to, you cannot please everyone. It's, as a matter of fact, I am convinced that Wow, I just had a revelation. I won't tell you what it is, but I just had a revelation. Um, I will just say that um, being good is a challenge because there will always be times when doing the right thing means upsetting or disappointing some people. So what I would say is doing the right thing doesn't always mean pleasing people. As a matter of fact, it's usually the opposite. Yesin. Well, then, Yesin, yeah, you should talk to Susu and you should talk to Leo. Leo is also something like that. So who knows? Maybe Leo could use your help with what they're doing for me. Can I help you get a Claude account? No, I cannot. Thank you very much, Yasin. That's what they think too. Susu and Leo both feel the same way, and that's why they're trying to help me also. So that's nice that you were saying that. Did I watch the game yesterday? Brazil beat Scotland 3-0 in the Miami Arena. I did not watch it. No, was it good? 3-0. That's pretty good. That it doesn't happen that much, right? So, if you don't know what we do here, let me tell you how this works. I am an alien. I learned English. Now you can ask the alien questions about English. Okay? So that's what we're doing here. This is called Ask an Alien. Hello, Johnny, over there in my YouTube. Yeah, big things are coming, I hope. I've been trying to work on this project by myself for 4 or 5 years, and it's really hard to do anything by yourself. I have had a little bit of help. Well, not a little bit. I've had a lot of help, but it's still hard. It's still very, very hard to do it. To have your own business like this, it's very difficult. There's so much to do. So if anybody tells you being a live streamer is easy, they're wrong. It's not easy. It's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. But I am very hopeful that we'll make some progress soon here now that I have some help. The double G and the double P, Mark, some words have the letter, have one letter and some have two, pronounced as one, right? You're right. So do you have a question about that? So, if you're asking why we have double letters like rabbit, Rabbit, or, you know, the words that have two, why do we add a double consonant if we don't really pronounce it? The there is an explanation, but I'm not always happy with this explanation. It's called protecting the vowel. So in Old English, there was a difference between short and long consonants. So the consonants, there was two kinds of consonants, short and long consonants. And if you wrote only one consonant after a vowel, it would make it a long vowel. So writing two consonants would make it a short vowel. So the reason why we do two consonants is because that will tell you that the vowel before it is a short vowel, not a long vowel. But that's a really weird way to do that, if you tell me, or if you ask me. So that's the reason why. The fastest way to improve your English is to stop worrying about how fast and to start worrying about improving. Okay? If you're asking about speed, then you're probably doing it wrong. All right? Do I believe that there have been aliens living among us for centuries? No. No, I don't. Because if there were, then they are the, how do I say this? There's just no logic in that. Being an alien and living here for hundreds of years, but not actually letting anyone know or telling anybody what you're doing, or just, okay, maybe they're just watching, but for what? And why would you sit by and watch as terrible things happen if you could do something about them, right? So there are many scenarios that you can imagine as to why it would be that an alien would be here for many years but not say anything. Probably it would be to watch us, but I cannot see what the benefit would be of watching us for an extended period of time without any intervention whatsoever. I just don't find it likely. I just don't find it likely. I think that if it were true, I don't think they'd be able to hide it as easily as. So I just don't think the physics would make it possible. I don't think that, I don't know. Carlos. What's the difference between very and pretty? Pretty is not as big as very. So if I say today is very hot, that's worse than today is pretty hot. Okay, so maybe I say, let me think. If I say today is 27C, 28C, and you say, is it hot out? Oh, it's pretty hot. It's not really hot, but it's pretty hot. But if I say it's 35C, that's really hot. Okay, that's very hot. Okay, so very is stronger. Okay, if I say it's very good, that's wonderful. If I say it's pretty good, that's not bad, but not great. Okay? All right, let's see. Please explain why C means Columbia and Washington, D.C. Okay, so Washington, D.C. is a very small area where we have our politicians. It's the political area of Washington, right? And it's not a state, it's called a district. It has special rules, kind of. It's like a special little area that's different than any other area in the country. And it's called the District of Columbia because the name Columbia was this identity based on Columbus, right? Columbus was the iconic explorer who found America. I always love saying those words. And so they took the word Columbus and then they turned it into Columbia by adding the IA Latin ending on it. And that made it sound more like a name, like Britannia, Germania, Columbia, right? And so it's just a poetic name for the United States, and it is supposed to represent liberty and freedom, almost like a god or goddess. Okay, Columbia, the goddess of freedom, something like that. Okay. Hello, everyone. Flavia, because I am a man that does not do things just for the money, and I never have. I remember a world where people did things because they believed in them, not because they believe it can make money. So I still live in the world where I do things because I believe in them. And I don't need there we have reached a point in my opinion where some people, how do I say this carefully? There are many people in the world, too many people, who only care about making money and don't have anything beyond that. They don't have any principle, they don't have any soul, they don't have any passion, they don't have any internal motivations beyond making money. And I don't I think that's a bad world. I think that's a very bad world. So I have never done anything in my life because of the money. I've never done anything with a goal of money. I do things because I believe in them. I do things because I'm passionate about them. And I will hope that what I offer will eventually have value. But if it doesn't, it's still worth it to me. Can I recommend a great podcast for improving English? Nova. Sure. One moment. One is from there's a girl called the Grammar Girl. Let me see. Look up the Grammar Girl online. She is probably the number one expert in the world on grammar. She has a wonderful channel, a wonderful website, lots of great videos, amazing videos, really good information. So I would check out the Grammar Girl. And one moment. There's one called VOA Learning English. And there's one called 6 Minute English. Whoops. And there's one called All Ears English. And the last one is Luke's English Podcast. Okay? So, Flavia, why do I do this if I don't do it for the money? It's possible, Flavia, it's possible that this will become an embarrassment for me. It's possible that I will not make any money from this. It's possible that I will die poor. Many, many people who did great things died poor. But I refuse to be motivated by money. I refuse. I refuse. Money is the most banal of motivations. And I refuse to be banal. Where do we have the Statue of Liberty? The Statue of Liberty is it's on Liberty Island. It's called Liberty Island. It's a tiny little island in New York Harbor. So New York City is the big city, right? And then there's this area called New York Harbor. It's the water. And there's a tiny little island there that overlooks the city, and that's where the Statue of Liberty is. Money doesn't make a fortune, but having no money makes disfortune. That depends on how you define fortune. Fortune can be many things. Fortune can be money. Fortune can be future. And things can be fortunate or unfortunate. Teacher, I have difficulties reading loudly. How can I overcome it? Asma, when you say I have difficulty reading loudly, do you mean you're too shy? Do you just mean you're shy? Yes, maybe. Okay, so because those are two different things. The first thing you said is just that you're not loud enough, right? But that's different than being shy. That just means you have a soft voice. Like my sister's not really shy, but she has a very soft voice. So when my sister speaks, she sounds like this. So whenever she talks a lot more quietly like this. When she speaks, it's almost like everybody's whispering. But when I speak, it's much louder like this. I project my voice when I speak. But it sounds like you're not talking about that. You're talking about feeling shy. Like you don't have the confidence. So why are people shy? Because you're worried about people laughing at you. So stop worrying about people laughing at you, because language is a performance, which means you are going to be speaking in public. And whenever you speak in public, there will always be someone who doesn't like what you have to say. There will always be someone who doesn't like what you have to say. But you still have to speak. So shyness can be overcome by doing it again and again and again until you kill your shyness. Okay? The more you do it, the more confidence you get. The more confidence you get, the more you kill your shyness. So, do it more. But also, Asma, you have to believe in yourself more, and you have to care about what other people think less. Learning is not supposed to include thinking about other people laughing at you. That's not supposed to be a part of learning. Do you understand? Whenever you learn, there is no part of learning that should ever include, oh, but what if they laugh at me? That's not something you should ever think about. Anyone who laughs at you when you're learning, that's a baboon. Do you worry about what the baboons think of you? Okay? Baboons will laugh at each other. You know, monkeys laugh at each other. They love to laugh at each other when they play tricks on each other. Have you ever watched monkeys? They do it. They love to play jokes on each other. That's just a baboon. So when you're learning, don't worry about the baboons laughing at you. Okay? Forget about them, Asma. Care more about your learning. But if it's just shyness, shyness can be overcome. Shyness is just a dark tunnel in the mountain. Go through the tunnel. When you come out the other side, you'll feel better and you'll be like, oh, well, that wasn't so bad, right? It's just a tunnel. It wasn't so bad. Then every tunnel is much better. Every tunnel is much easier, right? Okay. Let's see. Next question. Since you've known me for over 5 years, I've been working here to help people with the purpose of connecting people through language. Yeah, yeah, that's right, Carlos. That's right. Not every monument is measured in money. And hello, Oliver from Syria. As an English literature graduate who has been away from the field for several years, how can I best reactivate and upgrade my language skills? Uh, Noor, I think that you need to do something very, very simple, Noor. Noor, I remember when I was a boy, and one of my favorite things to do was to go to the bookstore. A bookstore was a magical place where I could find a new treasure that was going to entertain me and educate me and enlighten me and change me. And you walk into that bookstore and you look around and you see the covers, all the different covers, and there's romance over here, and there's, you know, nonfiction over here, and science and history over here, and fantasy, and, all these different kinds of books that are like, wow, let me look what this is about. Let me see what this is about. And then you pick up that one book and you read the first page, and it grabs you. It grabs you, it pulls you right into the book, right? That's what you need to do to get back into it. You need to find that book that brings you back, that the book that grabs you and pulls you into it. It makes you remember how language and reading can be like treasure. So that's what I would say. Either find a new book that makes you feel that way, or the other thing that you can do sometimes is pick up a book that's one of your favorites and read it again. Read it again. There are some books that you can read over and over and over again, and it doesn't matter how many times you read them, you'll always find something new to think about, because it's not about the words, it's about you. Sometimes, if you can't find something new in the book, it's not because there is nothing new, it's because you can't find it. So, people say, well, why would you read a book a second time? Why would you read it many times? You've already read it once. You're missing the point of why you read books. You don't read a book just to finish it. A book is like a puzzle. A story is like a puzzle. And every time you do that puzzle, you're looking at it from a different angle, and maybe you see things in a different way. So, that's what I think you need to do, Nora. I think you need to either find a book that's an old book that you love. Like for me, there's the book The Count of Monte Cristo is a book that I love. I just think it's a great book. It's a basic book, it's a trite book, but it's a fun book. It's a wonderful book that everybody can enjoy. It's not too much. That's why I love it. It's got a little bit of something for everybody, but it's not trying too hard, and that's why I love it. There are some books in literature that are just trying too hard to be special, to be artistic, to be literatively unique. So, either find an old book that you love and read it again, or find a new book that grabs you. Okay? What does articles of clothing mean, and why does bar also mean the profession of lawyer? How do I connect this explanation with the counter? Let's see. So the first thing is articles of clothing. So the word articles, an article can be like something that we write, right? The original meaning of article is the separate parts of anything that's written, right? So, for example, in American history, we have something called the Articles of the Confederation, right? And there's these different documents that use the word articles in them. And it was like chapters or parts. Okay, so the word articles just meant like parts or chapters of something, a document. Okay, but the word articles comes from the word articulus, which means a part. Like, do you know the word articulate? To articulate? What does articulate mean? Articulation, to express clearly, that's one meaning of it. Yes, to articulate means to move properly. So articulation in language, it means to move your mouth properly to make perfect sounds, to articulate well. But the word article is related to the word articulate because they're both from the meaning of the word joint. A joint, like your knuckles have a joint. So when you move them, they articulate. So that's a joint, that's a joint, that's a joint, which means that's a part, that's a part, that's a part. So that's why the word articles, originally it meant a part of a document. A part of a document, okay? And then later it became, the word article meant a document itself. I'm going to write an article, right? But then, let me see. Why is it just a thing? Right. The extended meaning of a piece of property or a material thing or a commodity is attested from 1796. I'm trying to understand. One moment. Okay, I think I understand. So the word article originally comes from the word meaning a joint, right? Which is something that joins two parts, right? To join two parts, that's a joint, right? So that means we're talking about parts, many parts. So the word article originally was talking about many parts of a document. So when you talk about articles like they're things, those are parts of a thing. So for example, an article of clothing means a part of your clothing. Okay? So the word article just became a bigger meaning to mean a one item that is a part of a group of things. Okay? That's why we say articles of clothing. Okay? All right, let's see. And then bar, the lawyer. Why is it bar? So the word bar comes from England. In England, the word for lawyer is a barrister. A barrister is a lawyer. Barrister. And so that the word lawyer came later. The first word that we used to say lawyer was barrister. Okay? And the reason why we said that was because you had to pass the bar exam. Okay? One moment. Ah, yes. Okay. So, one moment. Let's see. Students who had attended a certain standing were called to take part in the important exercise of the House. Okay, so the word bar is literally a bar. What is a bar? Do you guys know what a bar is? It has so many meanings. It's a hard word. Let me see. Do I have something I can use? Yeah, it's like a stick. Let me see if I can find something. I'll call it a bar. One moment. Okay, so here is a bar. This is a bar. It's just a piece of wood, right? It's just a piece of wood. But when you go to the bar to have a drink, why do we call it a bar at where you go to drink? Why do we call it that? Because you sit down at the counter and they have a bar. You sit at the bar, right? And then, why do we call the lawyer a barrister? Because they have to pass the bar exam, which is a bar. You have to get above the bar. You have to pass the bar exam. One. And two, because in court, there's one area where the lawyer is behind the bar. That's the barrister's area. Okay? So, the word bar is kind of interesting. It says the wooden railing that marked off the area around the judge's seat where the prisoner stood for arraignment and where the barrister stood to plead. And then later, the word bar actually became the word that just meant court. Okay? So, if you're a lawyer, to become a lawyer, you have to pass a test. And that test is a very difficult test, and it's called the bar exam. It's called the bar exam. And in England, they don't say I'm a lawyer. Usually they say I'm a barrister. That's the British word for lawyer. Okay? And when you ride a bicycle, what do you hold on to? You hold on to the handle bars. The handlebars. Right? So a bar is anything that you can kind of grab onto like this or put your hands on like this. That's a bar. Okay? And we even say, sometimes we say, Teacher Mark's bar is too high. That means my standard. My bar is too high. It's my standard. Okay? It's the bar. All right, let's see. Over here in my YouTube, what do we got here? Hello, namaste. You don't look at the what? You don't look at the typing. What do you mean? I don't know what that means. Okay, let me see. Did I miss any other comments or questions? Amir says, please follow my YouTube channel. Amir, please follow my YouTube channel. You haven't studied for a month, but you're happy you understand me. Okay, well, good for you, Capitu. Thank you, Anna. I'm glad. Last year, I entered a bookstore and I tried to find something interesting, but I ended up only finding teaching materials and supplementary books. Well, you know, those are good too. Those are good too. But I do miss a good bookstore. They just don't have them the way they used to be. There are not as many bookstores, and the ones that we do have just don't have that same character, it feels like. I used to love going to the bookstore. It was magical. It really was. It was like, it was better than going to the toy store. It was better than going to the candy store. I mean, I guess I'm just a nerd, but... yeah, Waleed, the U.S. is going through a little bit of an identity crisis right now. The U.S. is definitely going through a very big identity crisis right now. And some of us are trying to decide whether we do believe in that, you know, in the motto on the Statue of Liberty or not. And there are many people who do not agree with that statue at all. They don't agree with the motto at all. Okay? But I do. Hello, Betty. Thank you, Vicky. Hello, Sammy. No. So, Sarah, you said article is like particle. Well, they do sound a lot alike, and they are spelled very similarly, but apparently no. The word article comes from a different root word. The word particle comes from the Latin word particula, which means a little bit or a part or a grain of something. So, particle comes from the root word P-E-R-E, and article comes from the root word A-R, artus. They just happen to sound the same and are spelled the same. This happens sometimes in English. Just because two words look the same and sound the same does not always mean that they are related. There are many examples. For example, do you guys know the word pen, right? The word pen, everybody knows that word, right? And you also know the word pencil, right? And everybody thinks that the word pen and the word pencil, they must be related, right? They must be related, right? They're not related. They look like they should be related, but they are not related. So the word pen is related to the word feather. Because what was the original pen? What was the first kind of pen? What did we use? A feather. Right? You remember that? When we used to write with a feather? That was a pen. Okay? Yeah, bird feathers. That's right. That was a pen. Okay? But the word pencil is related to the Latin word penicillus. Penicillus. Do you know that word? Penicillus. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound familiar at all? Penicillus. Penicillus. What is that? What is penicillus? Penicillin. That's right. Penicillin is a kind of medicine, right? It's a kind of medicine. And the reason why that medicine is called penicillin is because the word penicillus means painter's brush. A painter's brush. Okay? And the meaning of the word, it means little tail. Pencil means little tail. Penicillus means little tail. So the word pen is related to the word feather. That's where we get the word pen from. That's from the word feather. But the word pencil comes from another word. Male genitalia. Man parts. Yes, the word pencil comes from the important part. That's right. So the word pen comes from the word feather, or comes from feather. That's where we get the word pen. But the word pencil comes from that. So you think they're related because they sound like they should be related, but they're not related at all. They're not related at all. Yeah, that's right. And now you'll remember that. You'll remember that the word pen comes from feathers because that's what we used to use was a feather to write with. Okay? But the word pencil comes from the Latin word for paintbrush, which means little tail, which is where we get the word for penis. Those are the fun things that you can learn in English. Famelza says, do I think that going to a bookstore was the best way to improve compared to using an app nowadays? Those are two different things. Going to a bookstore to find a book to read, that's still just as valuable today as it was when I was a boy. Using an app is a different thing. That's a new technology, and it can be good, but they're two different things. You know, to me, that's like asking, is driving good? Yeah. Is flying good? Yeah. They're both good. Right? So reading is good, and apps are good. They're just good in two different ways. Okay? All right, let me see, did I miss anything else? Is there something called linguistic intelligence that may be related to genetics? Not that I'm aware of. I don't think that there is any linguistic genetic connection specifically. I mean, certainly there is a lot of research that's done into how the brain develops language and how humans have developed language neurologically. But what you're asking is, are some people just naturally born with linguistic ability? I don't think so. I think that there are some people who are naturally... There are some people who have genetic traits that might be the combination of their parents in some positive ways that benefit them. Intelligence, right? Things like that. However, I do believe that most of linguistic intelligence has to do with nurture more than nature. Nurture meaning you learn it. So, for example, when I was a boy, I knew this kid whose parents were both teachers, and they were both... One was like an English teacher, and the other one was, I can't remember what, teaching something, but they were both teachers, right? And his language was really different because his parents' language was really different, right? So he spoke with a much higher level vocabulary than everyone around him, all of his peers, right? He was 14, and all of his, friends, none of them had that vocabulary, but he had this great vocabulary. Why? Because his parents used that vocabulary all the time, right? So he was surrounded by that all the time. So there are certain people who have an environment that does, that has pushed them more into certain linguistic areas, whether that be learning English or other languages. But I don't think it's very genetic, with the exception of basic intelligence, which does play a role. Okay, let's see. Oh, excuse me. I don't think I missed any other questions. Oh, wait, I did. Let's see. So, soap, bar, and pub. Right. So the word bar is a pub, right? So pub means public house. That's the original meaning of pub. But the word bar is like a public house, right? But it was a place where you went to sit down and have a drink, and you sat down at the bar. Okay. Soap bar. Why do we call it a bar of soap? Because the word bar is kind of like a brick, right? So we talk about bars of gold, and we talk about bars of soap. It means like a brick of soap or a brick of gold. A bar of soap, a bar of gold. Okay? The Haverfords had dispatched Maycomb's leading blacksmith in a misunderstanding arising from the alleged wrongful detention of a mule. I looked up the dictionary, and it said dispatch can also mean to kill in addition to send someone or to... Yeah, that's correct. Why is there such a big gap between the meanings of these two words? It's not. To dispatch can mean to send someone to get something or to do something, or it can mean to kill someone, to execute someone or something. And the reason why is because... One moment, let me look up the word here. Dispatch. Dispatch comes from... Oh, interesting. From the Spanish despachar, and from the Italian dispacciare, to dispatch. So the first part, dis, just means a lack of, a not or away, apart from. And then, interesting. The second part of this word, the source is unknown and uncertain. The Spanish and the Italian words seem to be related to impede. Wow, okay, so this is a hard one. Nario, this word dispatch, they don't really know where this word comes from. Nobody's totally sure. That happens sometimes with certain words. The word did have an original meaning, but nobody knows what it is anymore. So right now, all we know about the word dispatch is that the first part of the word means to like away from or off or apart from, right? So dis can mean not, but dis can also mean apart from or away. And that makes sense when you talk about to dispatch something, right? So to dispatch a messenger means to send a messenger with a message to someone, right? So, but dispatch is also a word we use. It's almost like a euphemism. Well, it is a euphemism, I guess, that's used to say to execute someone. So you can say kill him, but the formal way to say it would be to dispatch him. Okay? And this means to get rid of promptly by killing. Okay? In this case, it means to finish, to put him away, dispatch away. He's been finished, he's been put off, he's been put away, right? So dispatch has those two meanings, and it's hard to say why. Chocolate bar, that's another one too. Barista and barrister are two different things. I'm sorry, I should have seen that. A barista it's an English word that comes from Italian, that it just means a coffee worker, a person who makes your coffee in the coffee bar, right? We call it a coffee bar. That's a barista. Okay? So that's why we call them a barista, because it's an Italian bastardization of the word bar, barista. Okay? It's just supposed to sound fancy. But I'm not talking about barista. I'm talking about barrister. Barrister is a different word. That's a word that means lawyer. Okay? All right, let's see. How can you improve your IELTS academic score? Do you have good IELTS study books? If you don't, then get them. There are 3 companies I recommend. Kaplan, Barron's. Man, why does my keyboard never work right? Barron's and Cambridge. These companies make great books for both the TOEFL or the IELTS test. Get the books and study them. Okay, that's the number one thing I would say. Oh. The word bar in Brazil means for beer. It means that in America too, but it has... A bar can be many different things. The word bar has many meanings. That's what I was trying to explain. Okay? The word bar meaning a place to go drink, that's just one meaning of the word bar. Okay? How do I know if it's common or if it's necessary to learn it when I encounter a rare explanation of a word like dispatch? Uh, you don't until you ask me. So that's why I'm here. Okay? You probably can't know that. You probably won't and can't know that. But if you ask me, I'll tell you. All right? But, if it's about research. How do I know? How do I know? Because I look into it and I read about it, and then I surmise is the word. To surmise is to look at something and then think about it and then consider how did that really probably happen. That's to surmise. Okay? And that's what I often do is I read the etymology. I read the story that they tell me of what happened, and sometimes that story is a little bit unclear, but I can make it clear in my mind with my imagination. Sometimes. Okay? All right. Let's see. So again, I'm very hopeful that very soon there's going to be. I'm going to have some new things to offer you guys. So I've done hundreds of these live streams, hundreds of them, with hundreds of hours. Okay, and sometimes I say certain answers just the right way. Sometimes I say a certain quote or certain words just the right way. And very soon, I'm going to have that in my hands, and I'll be able to offer it to you that you can go through and look for all of my answers, and you can look for all of my quotes, and you can look at all of my suggestions anytime you want, and you could search through it easily. Coming soon to a theater near you. You saw this line, Susu says, I saw this line, I'm used to you, in Young Sheldon when his sister asked if he'd miss me, or if he'd miss her. I would have said, I'm used to having you around. But native speakers just shortened to, I'm used to you. It's so concise. Is daily spoken grammar less formal than textbooks? Absolutely it is. Yes. Casual language often simplifies itself. Casual language often simplifies itself. Okay? There are many times when we break the rules of grammar for casual conversations. For example, let me think of a good way to explain this one. Sometimes, well, for example, Susu, sometimes you and I text each other on WeChat, right? And sometimes when I text on WeChat, I won't start a sentence completely. I'll start with a broken, fragmented part of the sentence, but that's common here. We often leave off words in the beginning of a sentence that are like just assumed, right? So let me see if I can give you some examples. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, I know. Okay. For example, maybe I'll say, hope you have a great weekend. Is that correct? Hope you have a great weekend. It's not correct, because I should say, I hope you have a great weekend. But we always do that. We drop the beginning I and we'll just say, hey, hope you have a great weekend. All right? Or we'll say, bought a new car yesterday. Bought a new car yesterday. I dropped the I from the beginning. I didn't say I bought a new car yesterday. I just started with bought a new car yesterday. Okay? That's casual. That's casual. We cut words off all the time. Or maybe I come into your new apartment and I say, wow, love what you've done with the place. Love what you've done with the place. Okay? That's like, I love what you've done with the place, right? Or let me think of some other ones. If I say, want a piece of cake? Want a piece of cake? It should be, do you want a piece of cake? But we drop it to just say, want some cake? Okay? Or, been to that new restaurant yet? Been to that new restaurant yet? Should be, have you been to that new restaurant yet? Right? Or if I say, understand what I mean? Or if I just say, understand? Do you understand? Right? So in casual conversation in English, we often drop many, many words. We might say, no big deal, instead of it's no big deal. Or we might say, sounds good to me, instead of it sounds good to me. Or we might say, no need to apologize, instead of there's no need to apologize. We might say, ready to go, instead of are you ready to go? Okay, we might say having fun instead of are you having fun? All right? So that's happens a lot. Okay? In English, we call that, it's called ellipsis, conversational ellipsis, when you drop words at the beginning of a sentence for casual speech. Okay? Conversational ellipsis. All right, let's see. You like my hat. I'm glad you like my hat. I need to buy another one. This one's getting dirty and old. About the choice of English books, some books with eras such as To Kill a Mockingbird use many words or expressions that are rare now. But at the same time, this book is also a classic. Do I need to read it? That's a great question. That's a really great question. So, Nario, there are some books that when you read them, you're not reading them for the linguistic value. You're reading them for the literary value. Linguistic value is very different, right? So, for example, To Kill a Mockingbird, or like I remember in the book To Kill a Mockingbird, they kept talking about this thing called a chifforobe. A chifforobe. Do you guys know what a chifforobe is? I think that's the right spelling. A chifforobe is an old word that means like a wardrobe closet. It's another kind of closet for your clothing. It's like a wardrobe closet, right? But we don't use that anymore. Nobody has a chifforobe anymore, right? So it's kind of weird that you have to talk about a chifforobe, right? And then Tom Sawyer, or Huckleberry Finn. In those books, they use a lot of language that is colloquial, casual, Southern slang, from the 1850s or 19 or like let's say late 1850s, something in that neighborhood. Right? So yeah, it's like old language. Or Gone with the Wind is another one. Gone with the Wind is a famous book, but the language in the book, it's outdated literary linguistic value. Linguistic value. So the literary value is different. The literary value is, why is this story important? What can I learn from this story? What are the lessons here? Right? Linguistic value is different. Right? So, for example, Shakespeare. Shakespeare has both linguistic value and literary value. So when you read Shakespeare, there are two things to look at. One is the story and what's the lesson? What's he trying to teach you in this story? And the other one is the art of language, how he used words to make it so brilliant, the linguistic way that he used language, and how the language sounded very different back then, right? So when you read books, sometimes you're reading them for the lessons, not for the language, right? So, To Kill a Mockingbird. Should you read To Kill a Mockingbird? Yeah, because it's a great book. And it has great lessons. And yeah, the language will be a little bit difficult for you. It'll be pretty difficult because it was difficult for me, and I'm a native. So it was difficult for me because those words were even old for me when I was a boy. So I read that book when I was probably in, I don't know, I think I was in the 7th grade, maybe? I think I was in the 7th grade when I read that book, so I was about 13 years old, maybe. And when I read that book, it was difficult for me because even then the language was very old and nobody spoke like that anymore. So we were reading this when we were kids and we were like, what is a chifforobe? Why are they talking about, why do they talk that way? Right? We didn't know, we didn't understand. So it's going to be even harder for you. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Just because something's hard doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Okay? There's also a fantastic movie version of To Kill a Mockingbird. It's a great black and white movie version. Let's see here. This is a temporary workaround. We're investigating the issue in normal service to restore later. Okay. Web version is back to normal now. Okay, great, wonderful. So when I started my stream today, there was some kind of a problem with logging in. I could not start my stream, but it seems like they fixed the problem now. Hello, Carlos. All right. So once again, sometimes people come here and they don't know what to do here. Why are we here? What are we doing? It's very simple. I am an alien. I know I don't look like an alien, but I am one. So, how do I speak English? I learned English. I learned English, and I am a master of the language of English. So now you can ask the alien about English. All right? Ask an alien. That's what we're going to call this from now on. Ask an alien. Why do you like the sound of English? That's an interesting question. Why does anyone like the sound of any particular language? Why do people like rock music? Why do people like jazz music? Why do people like blues music? Your ears like what they like. Your ears like what they like. A legal alien. That's right. Do you know that song, Carlos? You're referring to the song, I assume. I'm an alien. I'm an illegal alien. I'm an Englishman in New York. Right? Aiden wants to know, how can we memorize English words? Aiden, I know that you are new. And I know that you are new because I tell everybody to never memorize any English words. Okay? You shouldn't memorize. You have to learn how to learn vocabulary a better way. So let me ask you this, Aiden. Why do you forget words? Why do you forget words when you memorize them? Overload memory because we don't use it. Because you don't know how to say it. Okay, well, but most people that talk about memorizing, they forget the words, right? They memorize them, but then they forget them. They can't use them because two things. One, they can't remember them. Two, if they do remember them, then they don't know how to use them in context because they learned the they learned the word, they learned the definition, but they don't know where it can be used. So that means like you can't, it's not practical, it's not functional, right? So here's the easy answer. Memorizing is terrible because memorizing is boring. Memorizing is one of the most boring things that you can do to your brain. Your brain doesn't like it. It's boring. So that's why. Now, here's the next question, Aiden. Aiden, I don't know you and you don't know me, but I just met you now today here on my live stream. And now I'm talking to you, Aiden, and I keep saying your name, Aiden. And now you know my name, Aiden. My name is Teacher Mark, and your name is Aiden. And we are talking now, right? And because we are talking, we're getting to know each other, right? And because we're getting to know each other, you're going to remember me. Because we're talking and we're spending time together. We're spending time together, right? When we talk, we're spending time. And when you spend time with someone, the more time you spend with them, the easier it is to remember them, right? Words are the same way. Words are exactly the same way as people. If you want to remember people, you spend time with people. If you want to remember words, spend time with the words. But when you do memorizing, memorizing doesn't spend any time with the words. Memorizing just is like staring at the word and just repeating the word or writing it a bunch of times. There is some value in what it does, but not in a very effective way. Memorizing does not use your brain well. It does use your brain, but not well. Okay, so if you want to learn words, then you should spend time with them. So give me a word. Give me a word, any word. I don't care what word it is. Give me a word. Green. Okay, green. Fine. So, let's talk about the word green. What kind of word is green? What kind of word is it? Is it a noun? Is it a verb? Is it an adjective? Is it a preposition? Green. It's a color, right? But that's part of the definition. It's an adjective. Okay, right. So now you know its job, right? So if you sit down with me and you say, hey, what do you do? What's your job? I'm a teacher. So you sit down with this word and you ask this word, hey, what do you do? What do you do? Green. What do you do, Green? Oh, you're an adjective. Oh, okay. Now I know something about you. You're an adjective. All right, that's one piece of information I know. And then when you talk to people, you say, hey, where are you from? Where are you from? Right? So where is the word green from? Do you know where the word green is from? The word green is Dutch and Germanic and Norse. The Dutch word is grün, the German word was grün, and the Old Norse word, I can't pronounce that. I'm going to say green. And the word green, so now we know where it comes from. We'll say it comes from Germany. We'll say Dutch or German. Okay? So now you know where it comes from. Oh, it comes from there? And what did it originally mean? What did it originally mean? So when you talk to people, maybe you say, so what's your job now? And they'll tell you their job. But maybe you'll say, what did you do before? Right? So what did green mean before? Green means to grow. Green is the color of growing plants. So now we know that the word green has a job, and that job is, it's an adjective. And we know that the word green comes from Germany, and that the original meaning of the word green is to grow, because green things are growing things. Right? And so then sometimes you ask people, you say to people, what are you doing, or what do you like to do for fun? What do you like to do for fun, right? So if you ask this word, what do you like to do for fun? That means, can I see some example sentences of how you're used? Teacher Mark is wearing a green shirt today that says lucky on it. That's an example sentence. All right? So do you see what I just did, Aiden? I'm spending time with the word. I'm getting to know the word. And because I got to know the word, I will remember it. It's interesting. Wow, even I did not know that the word green is related to the word grow. Wow, that makes sense, doesn't it? Now you'll remember that. Grow, green. Ah, I get that. That makes sense. Right? Okay? That's much easier, Aiden. That's much easier. So, Aiden, then I tell people that when you're learning vocabulary, there are 4 ways to learn vocabulary that are much better than memorizing. One is read books or stories or articles. Read, just read. Read as much as you possibly can. This is not a very crazy thing to say. Look at me right now. I'm going to tell you something. This is very important. Smart people read. Smart people read. So, does that mean that you are dumb if you don't read? No, it doesn't mean you are dumb, but it's not a good sign. It's not a good sign. If you read, does it mean that you are smart? No, but it is a good sign. It is a good sign. If you read, your vocabulary will be better. Every teacher in the world, in any country, will tell you the children in that classroom with the best vocabulary are the children who read. It doesn't matter what language you're talking about. If I go to Russia, I can go into any classroom and the children who have the best vocabulary in Russian will be the children who read Russian books. If I go to Vietnam and I go to any classroom and I find the children who have the best vocabulary in Vietnamese, they will be the children who read in Vietnamese. So reading is the number 1 way to learn vocabulary in the world. 2, Aiden, there is something called a thesaurus. A thesaurus is a book like a dictionary, but a dictionary tells you the meaning of the word, and a thesaurus will tell you the family of that word. The family, not the synonyms. The synonyms, I don't like that word, because that word doesn't really describe it that well. It's the family. We're talking about family here, relationships. So in your family, you have some people that are very closely related to you, right? Maybe you have a twin brother or a twin sister. That's a very close relationship, right? They look the same. They might even act the same as you. You could have an older brother or an older sister, younger brother, younger sister. Your parents, your grandparents, right? Words are just like that. So I'm going to show you, right? So if you go to thesaurus.com, here's this website right here. Thesaurus.com. It's a free website. They also have an app that I use every day. All right, and I'm going to show you. This is the site right here. And we're going to type in the word sad. Because everybody knows the word sad. Sad is an easy word, right? But, so you know the word sad, but do you know these words? Depressed, heartbroken, melancholy, mournful, pessimistic, somber, sorrowful, sorry, unhappy, bereaved, blue, cheerless, dejected, despairing, despondent, disconsolate, distressed, doleful, down, downcast, forlorn, gloomy, glum, grief-stricken, grieved, heartsick, heavy-hearted, hurting, inconsolable, low, low-spirited, morose, pensive, or wistful? And there are more. Lugubrious, that's one of my favorite right here. Lugubrious. Languishing. In the doldrums. Okay? So this is a great way to learn vocabulary because you start with a word that you already know. Like happy or sad, and then find the words that are the family of that word. The brothers and sisters, the cousins, the aunts, the uncles of that word, and then learn them, right? They're related. It's easier to learn them if they're related to each other, right? So that's the second best way to learn vocabulary. The word thesaurus, Thesaurus, the meaning of the word thesaurus means treasure. It means treasure. A thesaurus is a treasure book. It helps you find words that are treasure very easily. Okay? And then there's another way to learn vocabulary, learning by topic. Like, for example, look here. This is a website that has vocabulary listed by topic. So look here. Okay, everyday topics, days, months, seasons, times, colors, numbers, food, drinks, fruit and vegetables, meat and fish, eating out, animals, weather. So let's just click on one. Let's do jobs. All right, so we have jobs here. Oh, here we go. Look at that. Medical and health jobs. Doctor, nurse, dentist, pharmacist, psychologist, veterinarian, surgeon, paramedic, optician, caregiver, midwife, physiotherapist. These are all medical and health jobs. Okay, and you can hear the word if you need to.
Doctor, a person trained to treat sick or injured people.
All right, look at that.
Doctor, a person trained to treat sick or injured people.
All right. Education. These are, it's easier because when I say these, you should imagine them. And if you can imagine them together, it's easier to remember. Okay, your imagination is a very important part of how you learn. And when you do vocabulary, that's the most important part of how you learn. All right, so when I learn a new word, I have to see it in my mind. I need a picture. I need a picture that I can see, then I can understand it. And by the way, Aiden, do you know what the word understand really means? The word understand is a very funny word because it says under, understand. Why is it under? What are we under? When we understand something, what are we under? Why under? It's because the word under now means below something. But a long time ago, the word under had a second meaning. Sometimes the word under used to mean in the middle of something. In the middle of something. So when you understand, you're in the middle of something and you can see it clearly. Ah, I understand. Get it? All right, so that's the third way to learn is by topic, right? If you do a search online and just say English vocabulary topic list, English vocabulary by topic, or just type in English vocabulary and type in a word like sports or computers or painting or art or nature. Just type in a topic and then type in vocabulary words list. Okay? And then finally, my favorite way to learn vocabulary is called etymology. Etymology means the history of words and where they come from and how they've changed over time. So every word has a story. Every word has a story. And not every story is that interesting, but many of them are very, very interesting. And if it's interesting, it's easy to remember. So sometimes it's really funny because sometimes you try to remember a word because you're memorizing it. And when you memorize, it's boring, so it's really hard to remember, so you have to try. You really have to try to remember. But when something is interesting, you don't have to try to remember. It's very easy to remember. Okay? So let's see. Let me pick a word that's a good word. Okay, I'm going to teach this one. I taught this one the other day, but the word distinguish. Distinguish. Do you know that word? To distinguish something? What does that mean? To distinguish? To tell the difference. That's right. To tell the difference between some things, to distinguish, right? So where's this word come from? What does dis mean? When you see a word that has dis in front of it, D-I-S, what does that mean? Negative, it means negative sometimes, but there is another meaning. It can mean negative, it can mean against, but it also can mean something else. Do you know what it is? It means apart. Apart or away. Apart or away. Okay? So in the word distinguish, the word dis means apart from. Okay? Separated. All right? Now, then what's the second part in the word distinguish? It comes from the Latin word stinguere. So dis means apart. Stinguere means... Let's see. Stinguere means this. What am I doing? That's right. I'm poking. It means to prick. To prick something is to stinguere. Why would they do that? This is about baking bread. Baking bread. So think about it. 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, the guy who made bread was very important, right? The baker. He was very important, the baker, right? And the baker had to make a lot of bread, right? So if I need 10 loaves of bread for Susu, and I need 10 loaves of bread for Mona, and I need 10 loaves of bread for Sarah, and I need 10 loaves of bread for Waleed, how can I tell the difference between all these loaves of bread? Oh, I know what I'll do. I'll use this, and I'll make marks on the top of this one. So Susu, I'm going to put an S on hers. And Mona, I'm going to put an M on hers. And Sarah, Sarah, we have another S. So Sarah De Silva, I'll put SS. So distinguish means apart, to make a design. To make a design so that you can tell them apart. To distinguish. Now, can you see that picture? In your mind, can you see that picture? And now you will remember. Because it's easy to remember interesting things. It's easy to remember interesting things. You don't have to try to remember interesting things. As a matter of fact, when something is interesting, you want to tell someone else, don't you? So now I just told you this story about the word distinguish, and some of you are going to tell someone else that story. You're going to say, hey, did you know about this word? Because it's so interesting that you want to tell everybody. That's even better. How can you search for etymology? There's a great question. I use a website and an app. There's an app and a website. It's called etymonline.com. This one. That's the website that I use. It's also an app. It's an online etymology dictionary. Now, I will tell you that etymology is really interesting, but it's kind of advanced. So it's not for beginners, okay? Learning vocabulary with etymology, you have to be at least an intermediate level. You can't be a beginner and start with etymology, okay? Yes, that's right. So the 4 best ways to learn vocabulary are reading, using a thesaurus, learning by topic, and then etymology. Okay? Those are the 4 best ways. And some people will say, yeah, but that's too much work, Teacher Mark. That's too much work. And what I will tell you is that here's what I know. Every time I do a live stream, someone says, how can I memorize words better? Every time I do a live stream, somebody says that. So what that means is memorizing doesn't work very well, does it? Memorizing doesn't work very well because people are always asking me, how can I memorize better? I always forget. So the way that I teach does require some effort, right? To do my 4 ways, you have to do some things. Yeah, you're right. It takes a little work to do it my way. But only one time. If you do it my way, you only need to do it one time. And then it's so interesting, you will remember forever. But when you memorize, it's so boring that you forget, and then you have to memorize again. And then you forget, and then you have to memorize again. So sometimes people tell me that my way is too much work, and I tell them, but you're memorizing 3 or 4 times. So I think my way is better. I only have to do my way one time. You keep doing yours again and again, and it's still not working. Right? Etymology is somewhat similar to the classification of Chinese characters such as pictographs and... Yes, it is somewhat. Yeah, especially early Chinese characters. Early Chinese characters, they looked a lot more like the words. It was a lot easier to look at the early Chinese characters, right? Like the character for door, right? The character for door, mun, it looks like a door. You know, it's like, oh, well, that's easy. Right? Ren, yeah, it looks like people. Right, yeah, that's right, yeah. But see, Susu, that's the only thing. That's the only problem that I have with simplified Chinese, is that sometimes in simplified Chinese, the character got simplified and it is easier to write, but it doesn't look as meaningful. So the character for mun is door is a perfect example. The Chinese character for door, there's the simplified one and there's the traditional one. And when you look at the traditional one, it's obviously a door. You're like, that's a door. It looks like a saloon door, like in a bar or something, right? But when they changed it and modernized it with the new version, if I looked at that and just saw it on paper, I would not know that that's a door. Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So the original version was a lot easier to see the meaning. Sometimes simplified is easier to write, but harder to guess the meaning, harder to look at it and be like, I think I know what that means. Yeah. Anyway. Okay, if you are new, let me give you all of the information you need about me. Okay? My name is Teacher Mark, and I have been on this app for about 13 years, and I have been live streaming here for about 4 or 5 years. Okay, and I am a real teacher. I'm a teacher. I've been teaching English since 2009. I've been teaching since 1994. Everything that you need to know about me is in this file that I just put in the chat there, that PDF file. Okay, so if you want to know my streaming schedule, what time am I here, it's in the file. Okay, if you want to know my website and my YouTube channel and my blog, they are in that file. If you want to know my background and who am I and what do I do, it's in the file. And there are also 4 free articles in that file for you. Okay? Yes, Susu, yeah. The cowboy doors from Western movies. That's called a saloon. Saloon, S-A-L-O-O-N. I don't think there's 2 L's. Let me make sure. Yeah, one L, saloon. And the word saloon is the old word that we use for the old Western, like, bar, right? Like a bar that the cowboys would go to, right? And the word saloon comes from the word salon, which was a French word that used to mean like a club. It was like a club. It was like the salon. You were going to the salon to hang out with your group of people who would talk and chat and discuss things. That was at the salon. Then you went to the saloon in the West. Yes, I am an American. I am from the United States. And I have about 90,000 followers here on Hello Talk. I have about 90,000 followers here. I've been here for 2 hours and 7 minutes today. Today I started 2 hours ago. You are welcome. All right. No questions? Nobody's got a question for me? Come on, ask the alien. I am an alien. You can ask me questions. Don't you want to ask the alien a question? The more complicated for me, Liano says he's having trouble with using ing forms or 2 infinitive forms. Like I like playing guitar or I like to play guitar. Okay, so what's the problem? You can do both. I like walking, I like to walk. I like running, I like to run. I like jumping, I like to jump. I like swimming, I like to swim. I like singing, I like to sing. I like writing, I like to write. I like drawing, I like to draw. I like speaking, I like to speak. They are all fine. They mean the same thing. They're just different forms that mean the same thing. Don't think about it too much. Use whichever one you feel like using. If you want to say, I like running today, then you say that. Tomorrow, you can say, I like to run. Okay? They're both fine. All right? They're both fine. Can I explain the etymology of the word expelled? Certainly I can. To expel someone means to remove them, to kick them out. And the word expel... to cast out comes from the word ex means out, and pellere, P-E-L-L-E-R-E, means to drive. So the word expel means to drive out, to push out, to force out. To force out. Yeah. You're welcome, Nario. You learned that a prodigy being called a nerd and bullied, which is contrary to the fact that people like to watch TV shows. Yeah, so the word nerd is a complicated word. When I was a boy, the word nerd was pretty much a negative connotation, right? So being nerdy was considered a bad thing when I was a kid, right? We would make fun of the nerds. We would talk about how bad it was to be nerdy, right? But there has been a cultural shift. Okay? So, Susu, if you go watch movies or TV shows from the 1970s and 1980s, everyone has the story of some kid who's nerdy or different somehow, and they get picked on by the bully in school, by the jock, by the guy who's big and handsome and strong, and he's the captain of the football team, and he picks on the little guy. So many movies and stories about that when I was growing up. But then over time, we all got a little tired of that, I think. We all got tired of that, and we all knew that, hey, you know what? That kid, he's actually pretty cool. But that guy, the guy who's the jock, who's the big, famous, popular guy, he's actually not very nice. So we started learning that the nerdy kid was actually pretty nice and smart and cool. And the guy who was the popular guy was actually not very nice. Right? So it's called a sea change. A sea change, S-E-A. It means like a cultural shift. And the word nerd now is very different. The word nerd kind of means somebody who appreciates learning. So I say it all the time. I'm a nerd. I don't say that like it's a bad thing. I'm proud to be a nerd. I'm happy I am a nerd. I feel sorry for people who aren't nerds. There's a great TV show. If you want to know what it was like to be in America as a kid growing up in the 1980s, there's a wonderful TV show. Hold on a minute. Judd Apatow. He did a TV show called Freaks and Geeks. Freaks and Geeks. And it's a TV show that's all about these kids in the 1980s who were they were not the cool kids in school. They were the nerds, or they were the punks, the kind of the outsiders, not the cool people, right? And it's all about how they lived and how they grew up and what they felt in the 1980s. And I grew up in that time period. It's very, very accurate, this show. My brother, my sister, and I, we all love this show because it is very accurate. It's very much like what it was like to grow up in the 1980s in America. Yeah, so check it out. All right, let's see. What else do we have? Why do some children bully super smart kids? Jealousy, mostly. But now we have a bigger problem. Now we have a really big problem because now we have some kids who got bullied and they were the nerds and they became the tech guys. They're super smart and they know all about computers, but they are socially awkward, right? But then they have the big strong jocks like the MMA fighters and the Joe Rogan guys and the wrestling guys and all that, right? And the podcast bros, right? Well, now the podcast bros and the wrestling guys and the sports guys are connecting with the tech bros, and now the nerds and the jocks are getting together. And and they're ruining everything for everyone else. Yeah, it's terrible. Let's see. 313. If you forget your English knowledge, what's my recommendation? 313. You need to come here and watch me more. Come here and watch me, and then you'll start remembering more. Come here and watch me, and you'll start caring more. Come here and watch me, and you'll start paying attention and learning again. Okay? What about geeky? Same thing. The word geek was like a nerd. Same thing. Exactly the same thing. That's why the show is called Freaks and Geeks, because a freak is like a different weird person. Weirdo is another word. What is Omni-Man? Well, omni is a word that comes from Greek that means everywhere, right? So the word omniscient, to be omniscient means to know everything. And the word bus, when you take a city bus, the word bus originally was omnibus because it's a vehicle that takes you anywhere. So omni means everywhere. So Omni-Man means everywhere man. It means a lot of devices and knowing how to set them up. Omniscient. Oh, right. Omniscient. Omniscient just means you know everything. To be omniscient means all-knowing. All-knowing. The word wharf. Wharf is it's a term for boats. It's a place that's like a special safe area where the boats can stay. Let me check something. Wait a minute. Wharf comes from the German word Werf, meaning a dam or wharf. Yeah, it's just a safe area where the boats can tie up and be safe. That's a wharf. Okay? Goodbye, Mona. And once again, Mona, I want to say that it's very, very nice to see all my Iranian followers in my audience again. It's very relieving and nice to see. And I can only hope and pray that things will return to normal or something close to normal sometime soon, I hope. But it's very nice to see my Iranian followers in my audience again, where I don't have to worry, or so I can feel like I don't have to worry as much, because I did worry, and I do worry. Yeah, a wharf is a safe place for boats. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, you know what, Mona? I think I know at least 3 or 4 Monas, and I think 3 of them are Iranian. So I guess Mona must be a pretty popular name there. That's okay, I like it. It's a good name. It's a good name. Mona Lisa, indeed. Okay, I'm getting a little bit tired. Maybe I'll go here soon. If nobody has any more questions. What is an alpha girl and a beta girl? So, well, I don't entirely know because they don't usually say girl. We usually talk about alpha males and beta males. It's not really a term for women as far as I know. The term alpha and beta, it's really weird. There's a guy who wrote an article. I can't remember what year it was. I want to say it was in the 70s maybe, but he wrote an article and it was about wolves. It was about the life and behavior of wolves and wolf packs. And in his article, he described the behavior of these animals, and he described that there were some animals that were called the alphas and there were some that were called the betas, and he described their behavior. And then somehow that became popular. This theory of alpha and beta became very popular, and a lot of people started using it for humans. And men, it's not women, men did this. It's all men. Okay? Because what this is there are some guys who are desperate to believe that they are better than the other guys. There are some guys who are desperate to believe that they must be better because they're stronger or because they're bigger or something. So, it's the entire article, the whole article that this guy wrote about wolves has been proven to be wrong. Many, many times it's been proven to be wrong. Everything that he stated as a theory was wrong. And even funnier, it's not only is it wrong for wolves, but it's very, very wrong for humans. It does not apply to human behavior at all. But there are some people who love to say this because it sounds so nice. It sounds simple. Dumb people like simple ideas. Because simple ideas don't make you think. Simple ideas are easy. So you don't have to think, oh, so I'm an alpha and he's a beta. Oh, that's simple. I can think that's easy. I can understand that. But in the world, nothing is ever simple. We live in a world of complexity. Everything in this world, no matter what it is complex. So if you see someone and someone tells you, oh, it's simple, it's just this, that's called framing. Framing. And what is a frame, everyone? What's a frame? Do you know what a frame is? So I'll show you what a frame is. Let's see, can I do this? I think I can. All right, so right now you see me, right? You see me, so you can see who I am, right? But what if I do this? Now you only see this part of my hat. So do you see the whole picture? Can you see my room? Can you see the house? Can you see the yard? No, you can't. That's called framing. And in life, life is complicated. So that's the big picture. That's the big picture. But in life, there will always be some people who will come along, and life is complicated, and that's hard to think about. And because that's hard to think about, that's called cognitive load. Cognitive means thinking, load means heavy. So life has a heavy cognitive load. If you think about everything in life, it's a lot. It's very hard. People can't do that. So everybody, all humans are always trying to what we call offloading. It's called offloading your cognitive load. So what that means is everybody is looking for a simple explanation that makes it easier for them to understand, even if it's not true. So when people come along and they say, oh, well, you just don't understand. It's just simple. It's just like this. but they're only showing you this. They're deliberately trying to make you see only this much so that you can see it and understand it and believe it. So how do I know this? How do I know this? I know this because every teacher does this. Teaching is about framing. You come to me and you think, this is too hard. I can't do it. I can't do it, Teacher Mark. And what will I do? I will try to tell you something that will make you think about it in a different way. So now you used to think it was hard, but I just said, oh, no, it's not hard. It's simple. It's just this. I make an analogy or a metaphor, and you go, wow, that's a great analogy. Wow, that's really good. I like that. Now I get it. Right? Okay? So, teachers make framing all the time because that's what a teacher does. You think I can't do it. You feel like the cognitive load is too heavy. I can't do it. But a teacher will tell you something that will make it seem like it's not so bad so that you can do it. So teachers use framing to help you. But in life, everyone else is using framing to trick you. They're trying to show you the picture that they want to show you. They only want you to see this much. And then their answer makes sense. Okay, so framing. Framing can be used to help you understand, and framing can be used to confuse you and make you see a smaller picture than it really is. Okay? You have to understand what framing is. Framing can be a good thing, but framing is often just somebody who doesn't want to think about it because it's too hard. So instead of thinking about it, you just make up a simple excuse that's easier to think about, even if it's wrong. Okay? Cognitive load. It's hard to be a human. There's a lot to think about. Ask the alien. What's my opinion about studying 3 languages with each other at the same time? My opinion is that just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. So if I want to go to Chicago, I could drive to Chicago. That would take me about 5.5 hours. I could fly to Chicago. That might take an hour, maybe less than an hour. Okay? Or I could walk to Chicago too. It's possible. I definitely could walk there, but is it a good idea? Right? So just because you can do something doesn't mean you should, right? Now, if you have to learn more than one language, my suggestion is that you do it. Let me think of my words. One moment. If you're learning a third language, usually when people learn a first language, you have your native language, then you learn your first foreign language, right? So you use your native language to learn the foreign language, right? And then when you learn your third language, you do the same thing. You use your native language to learn the third language, right? But what I think would be better is if you have three languages, you have your native language, you have English, and you have French, let's say. Okay? If you learned, if your native language is Arabic and you learned English, okay, great. Now you want to learn French. So what I want you to do is don't use Arabic to learn French. Use English to learn French. And that way you're practicing both English and French at the same time. Okay, so use your use your secondary language to learn your tertiary language. I don't know what that means. Let's see. Oh, the file. Well, I'm sorry. One moment here. I'll give you guys the file. Here's the file here. Everything you need to know about me is right here in this file. Okay, so if you want to know my schedule and everything, it's in this file. Copy the file, paste it to your browser, and read it. Okay, you can't just click on the link. You have to copy it and paste it. All right? Okay? All right, guys, I think that's going to be it for me. I need to go do some other work. I need to cut the grass. I need to talk to Susu and maybe Leo. Leo's probably sleeping now, but I'll talk to him tomorrow. Or tomorrow for him. But yeah, Susu, you know what I was thinking about? I'm not sure, but I was considering next week I might take the week off from streaming so that you and I and Leo can work together and try to do some of these projects that we're talking about and really make some progress to get it done soon. So let's talk more, and maybe let's see if we can get Leo. If he's available to do that, then maybe I'll take 1 week off from streaming and we can focus on trying to get some of these projects finished. Okay? All right, guys. My brain is tired. The alien needs a rest. So I'm going to go. Have a good morning, have a good afternoon, have a good evening wherever you live in the world, and come back and see me again. Okay? And as my as one of my favorite idols of the 80s said, Nanu Nanu. I'm going to start saying that every stream. Nanu Nanu. Do you know what that means? There's a TV show from the 1980s when I was a boy. It was called Mork and Mindy. Do you guys know who Robin Williams is? Robin Williams, the comedian. So Robin Williams is one of my favorite people, and I love him. He was a great man, very, very funny guy. And when I was a boy, he was on a TV show that was very famous. This was his first famous TV show, and it was called Mork and Mindy. And it was about this girl in Colorado, this pretty young girl in Colorado, who she found an alien who his alien crashed on Earth, and she found him, and now this alien is living with her in her apartment, and he's weird and funny, and he speaks a weird language, and he says this, like, look, this is part of the show. Let me show it to you. Every episode, he has one part of the show where he talks to the alien lord or the alien god or something like that. It's really funny. Let's watch. It's like Alf. It's before Alf. So here it is.
More calling Orson. Come in, Orson. More calling Orson. Come in, Orson. More calling Orson. Come in, your man, too. Down, baby, get down.
I'll be with you in a moment, Mark. There's a caller on another brain cell.
Oh,
Yes. What is it? Sorry, there's no one named Juanita here. Juanita, no en la casa. Goodbye. I'd love to know who had this brain before me.
sounds like a drug bomb. You never guess what I learned. You never guess. Go on, take one guess. Too late. Okay, I'll tell you. I'm okay. I'm not as bad as I thought I was.
That's a lesson one can only learn from the school of oneself.
Wow, what a word-like thing to say. Do you know something, Wilson? I'd like to thank you for letting me see what Minnie's life would be like without me. But please, I never want to see what my life would be like without her.
You know, Mark, I think you're beginning to grow.
What is that? I don't know how much value I have in this universe, but I do know that I made a few people happier than they would have been without me. As long as I know that, I'm just as happy need to be. So I'll catch you on the rebound, your magnitude. Until next week, Nanu! Nanu!
So that's it. So that's his way of saying goodbye. And I'll say it now. Nanu, Nanu. Bye. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.